friends, really excited to see you today. We're going to be working through one of the exercises in Daniel Liang's Introduction to Java Programming. This is Chapter 9, Exercise 2. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you so we can get started. All right, so let me read the problem description right quick. It's the stock class. Following the example of the circle class in section 9.2, design a class named stock that contains the following items. Draw a UML diagram and write a test program that creates a stock object, the symbol Oracle, the name Oracle Corporation, the previous closing price of 34.5, a new price to 34.35, and display the price percentage. So the way, let's just go ahead and get this copied. And we'll grab that. We'll come over here to Eclipse. I've already got it started. I'm going to add a new package, and we'll call this Chapter 9, Exercise 2. And then I'll add a new class to this, and I'll call this class Chapter 9, Exercise 2. And I'm going to include the public static void main in this one. So before we get too far in the project, I always like to make sure it runs. That's a good sight to see. And then we've got work to do. So we want to make sure that everything in our code is running the way that we expected it to. So as long as we're getting our work in between those two spots, we should be able to see it run. All right, I like to use that kind of a header. And then everything else we'll do kind of as an example or as a block comment. And then, we'll just kind of get everything else added in between there. I'm going to take just a minute. I'm going to pretty this up just a little bit. Indent that because it's not its own bullet. Take that one as well because it is also not its own bullet. Okay. Not its own bullet. I don't actually do a UML diagram. I value the UML diagram, but I want to stay focused on the programming aspect of it, meaning the fingers on the keyboard. The UML diagram, there's lots of good places you can read about UML diagrams out there. I would encourage you all to go learn more about that. Okay, let's read through this one more time. So it's got a whole lot of stuff that it would like us to do inside the class that we're designing. The way I like to program, I like to have something in the main method that I can just run, and I can instantly get feedback whether or not it's doing what it's supposed to do. So it says, write a test program that creates a stock object with a stock symbol, Oracle. Okay, so create an example class name. So I'm going to call it simple stock. And I'm going to call this our object, and I'm going to say it's equal to new, and I'm going to give it the symbol Oracle. And corporation and 34.5. Okay, so what this says is we're going to create a stock, or we're going to create an object. The name of the object is our object. It's based off of the template simple stock, and simple stock, we're passing in the constructors, a string, and a double. So Eclipse is telling us, hey, that doesn't exist right now. So we can just click on this, create simple stock. And it handles the package correctly. It gets the enclosing type correctly, the name simple stock. It's public, so we can call it from other classes. It does not include public static void main. Everything works just real nice. And so we get that. I'm going to go ahead and create a default constructor. This is public, so we can call it from other classes. Simple stock, not passing anything in. And there we have that. Now, what it's going to tell us is, we don't actually have a constructor of this type that passes in a string, and a double. So I'm going to ask it to go ahead and create that for us. Oops. Not what we wanted. What I wanted was, no. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come over here, and now we create another constructor. This time, we're going to pass it a couple things. Control A, Control I to make the indentation, right? And so we'll have a string, and we'll call this symbol. And we'll have a string. That's a name. We'll have a double, which is previous closing, oops, price. And so now I'll say this dot MBOL equals, and I'm going to kind of add the prefix on all of these creation symbol, and this is just to clarify my thinking. This is the name that we're giving these things, and these are the variables that we're setting when we're creating these things. This is the only time these variables are going to get used. Now, what it's telling us is, hey, this symbol, we don't actually have anything for symbol yet. So I'm going to say private, and I'm going to say string. And so now we've got a field, and this field exists, and it's happy. Let's go ahead and make the other ones. Name, and then we're going to have a private double, and we're going to call this closing previous closing price. Okay, so now we can pop in, we can be like this dot name equals creation name, this dot previous closing price equals, and I don't feel like typing that. Some days you don't feel like typing that, and it's perfectly okay to just copy and paste and make sure that you get everything right. Okay, so that allows us to use our constructor. We can save that now. Save this, and it's still complaining about something. It says simple, no, we don't want to do, I forgot the word new. My apologies. That's why it wasn't kicking over. So it's this new object is using this class. It's going to be a new one of these, and we're passing in the configuration like that. That was my mistake. I left the word new off. So my apologies, my friends. You come in here, you can see that that now exists. And so what else does it say? It says, write a test program. We created the stock. But the thing is, I don't really trust any of this. So what I would say, let's test this thing out. So plus let's call this get symbol. And this doesn't exist, so I can create a method. It is going to return a string. I'm not using my to-do statements today, so we're not going to worry about those. And let's just return this dot symbol. Okay, save it, run it. Our stock symbol, Oracle. Hey, I like where this is headed. Now, let's go ahead and pop over our stock name. And we'll change this to name. That says, hey, I don't exist. So create a getter for name. That'll work. Hey. And now we can say, last thing that we have to check, get get previous closing price, create a method. Now, this one is telling us it's going to return a string. Actually, what I needed to do is return a double. And it's going to be this dot previous closing price. And it's happy. We're happy. Okay, now it says set a new current price to 34.5. All right, let's go pop that in right quick. Our object dot set. Let's do update closing price. And we're going to pass it 34.35. Okay, so I think we're going to have to refactor. And we're going to come in here. I think I'm going to refactor this. I'm going to call this closing price. Save that. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to refactor this just a little bit. And I'm going to call this, now get closing price. It says this doesn't exist. And so, oh, no, it should. Save this, save this. Okay, update closing price. Now, update closing price doesn't actually do what we needed to do yet. It's a void method because it doesn't return anything. And so what we need to do here, we need to have private double previous closing price. So basically, when I read the problem, I got confused. The way this is going to work, we're going to have to do a price change. And so let's see. if they give more clues up here. Get change percentage that returns the percentage changed from previous closing price to the current price. Okay, so I guess I could have left that as closing price. Let's just refactor this. I'll rename it and we'll call it set current price. Okay, so set current price, and then we'll let's refactor this again. And then we're gonna refactor, rename this and call it okay. So set current price double D, and we'll call this updated current price. And then we'll say this dot current price equals okay. So previous closing price is still, oops, there we go. And get closing price is previous closing price. Okay, so that's all good. Name, symbol, current price, get closing price, set current price. All of that works for me. And now let's do one of these right quick. And it says, hey, that doesn't exist. So we'll create a method. This one needs to return a double. And let's just grab this right quick, pop that off. I'm not using the to-do statements today. And then we are going to call this one return this current price. And now we can display the price change percentage. Okay, so let's do that. And so let's do our object dot get price change percentage. So one of the things that I wanted to throw out right quick is when we're doing these things, these names are literally coming off the top of my head. I'm reading the problem statement. The problem statement says display price change percentage. And so I use all of my creativity and I think, okay, how can I translate those words into a method name? And given the amount of coffee that I haven't had yet for the day, I basically came up with get price change percentage because you know what? Percentages and all this fun stuff, math, no, I don't want to think about that. So I know that this is going to be a double. And normally I just do a straight calculation, but I know that this is going to be, I have to think this through and I have to write this down just a little bit. I have to show just a little more work. So price change percentage. Actually, I know this is going to be something that I want to keep track of. So I'm going to put this up here. Okay. Now I can say this dot price change percentage equals. All right. I want it to be reported as a percentage, so it's going to be 100 because times some fraction. And so that fraction is going to be something like I think there are different ways that you can calculate the percentage price change. Does it give us any specific definitions? Previous closing price to current price. Changed from, okay, so we'll just math this right quick. We're going to do this dot previous closing price. Okay, so a positive price change mean our new number is bigger than our old number. So I'll do this dot current price minus, and then I'm going to drop this in parentheses again, end. And since I want it as a percentage, I'm going to do this dot previous closing price and drop in a semicolon. And truth to be told, this price change percentage is actually not a necessary variable. We can just get rid of this. We could say return this whole thing. We don't actually need this line at all. That means this little line here, this is a not necessary variable, so we can get rid of it. Because every time we have a new price, we could just calculate it. We don't actually have to store this anywhere. So I'm going to delete that, delete all of that. Let's check this. Let's run it. And so let's see. From 34.5 down to 34.35. That is down 0.15. So what's 0.15 divided by 30? Math, right? It's a really, really small number. What if we did 0.15 divided by, well, yeah, we can math on this right quick. 0.15 divided by 10 would be 0.01. And then, so when your brain tries this many times to get the math right, let's just do it this way. Price change percentage. Percent change, increase when decrease. Skills you need. Oop, percentage change calculator. I think we might have had a winner. There we go. Starting value is going to be 35. No, it is 34.5. So 34.5. And ending value is 34.35. Negative 0.43. And we get negative 0.43. I like this. I like this a lot. I'm going to actually change this just a little bit to a printf, and then I'll put in a %.2f \n, comma, and now run it. Yeah, -0.43, and that is identical. This is a handy little thing. I like this. So I'm gonna keep this in as a comment right here. And there we go. All right, let's see if we've got everything up here. So we've got a string field for the stock symbol. Yep, got that. A name, previous closing price. Yep. Current price, double. Yes. Constructor. Yep. A method get change percentage. Yep, we've got that. We didn't do the UML diagram, but we did everything else. Cool. Let's see if we can tidy this up. No, that all, we got an extra space here that we don't necessarily need. Pop that off. And then I'm going to add a space here just to make that look nice. And then on our stock class, let's see if we've got anything. Package, all that's being used. Blank space here. That looks all good. Get name, get symbol. I'm going to take this one setter that we have, and I'm going to move it down below the last getter. And then let's see, get current, get name. I'm going to change these to be in alphabetical order. And then symbol will be last. And so there are different ways you can, different philosophies on how you can do this. Uncle Bob says you do it like you would read a story. So as you are using these methods, that's how you can call them out. If you're getting into a larger class, I like to do them alphabetically. And Uncle Bob would tell you probably what you need to do is start to maybe think about splitting a class up, because classes should be small. They should have one reason to change. And there's lots of good things about this, but for today's homework assignment, we're not going to worry about those kind of details. Instead, what we're going to focus on is, does it answer the mail? And I'm going to say yes. Yes, this one does. So with that, friends, that is Chapter 9, Exercise 2 from Daniel Liang's Introduction to Java Programming. I really enjoy this stuff. Even when I'm struggling with it, I'm usually struggling with things like typos, and it makes me think and learn how to do things. And the other thing I enjoy about it is with programming, because everything gets written down, you get an opportunity to slow down and think about things. And sometimes you can look at what you've written down and you can realize, hey, I got the syntax wrong on that print statement, or hey, I got the syntax wrong on that comment, or hey, I don't like how this looks anymore, or I don't think that's the right variable name. And working in an environment where you can just see things written down on your screen, it gives you the chance to be like, hey, let's go back and change that. And the other thing I want to show you, or wanted you to see from this discussion, is you really can take these object names and start making them whatever you want, help clarify your thought process and help it be very clear, this is my intention. And so that's the value of having really good variable names, method names, things like that. And that's the value of having an integrated development environment that allows you to do things like auto-completing text and things like that. So anyway, friends, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you benefit from this. I look forward to working with you more in the future and learning more about programming. Thank you all for your time, and have a wonderful day.